If you live in Los Angeles and you take a walk or look outside your window, you might think life seems pretty normal right now, but you would be wrong because according to the president, your city is currently under siege and burning to the ground. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Donald Trump is fresh off his feud with Elon Musk. It is humiliating, as it must have been for Trump to be so publicly insulted in such a high-profile spat with his biggest financial backer, a guy who dresses like Nosferatu if he was a Miami club promoter. I think he also misses it because he's quickly moved on to a new feud with California Governor Gavin Newsom over Trump's illegal deployment of federal troops to L.A.
Escalating tensions not only on the streets of L.A., but also between President Trump and California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. Late today, President Trump said he'd arrest Governor Newsom if he were the border czar.
I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing.
What crime has Governor Newsom committed?
A crime has he committed?
Yeah, to warrant his arrest, as you
I think his
suggested earlier.
primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job.
If you could arrest someone for being bad at their job, the jails would be filled with former head coaches of the New York Jets. What are you in for? Going 2-14. You butt fumble. You can't blame yourself for that. It was just an accident. No, I called it. It was actually a designed play. I gotta say, Trump's really lost this step. He can't even come up with a phony reason to arrest Newsom. I mean, I could come up with a reason to arrest Newsom if I had to. At the very least, I feel like the fashion police could slap the cuffs on him for riding a skateboard in a suit, you know? Come on, dude, you look like the CEO of a tech startup that goes bust in 6 months. All right, check this out. It's called Beecher, and it lets you pay someone to save a spot for you on the beach. It's so easy. You just open the Beecher app and select the beach you're interested in. Then you navigate to the map. Then you select a zone where you're interested in sitting. Zones get more expensive as you get closer to the water. Then the app will connect you with one of our spot savers who you can sort by rate and location. You know what? The more I say it, it was just a bit, but it's a really good idea. Nobody take that app! That's my app. I already put this closer look in an envelope and mailed it to myself, so it's copyrighted. Oh, I'm gonna be so rich. I'm gonna be so rich. And the first thing I'm gonna do when I'm a tech billionaire, I'm gonna cozy up to Trump. That's right. You gonna be on your own. Sorry, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. No, we should note that Tom Homan said that when he initially threatened to arrest Newsom, everybody just misunderstood him.
We did a 20-minute interview, and he cuts out a little clip that makes me and takes my words out of context. Here's what we said. And he talked about when I talked about these people that are these protests and rioting. When they cross the line, they got that. Well, here's what I said: they have a right to protest. They have the First Amendment rights, but they can't cross that line. When he asked the questions, that include Mayor Bassett, Governor Newsom, I was clear: they haven't crossed the line. But they're not above the law either. If they commit a crime, they certainly will ask for prosecution.
Was your message unclear because it was taken out of context or because you sound like you have a mouthful of hot peanuts? Because when we're talking about potentially arresting governors, we got to enunciate. You know, you got to try vocal warm-ups before you go on TV. Here's what I do before every show. How now, brown cow? The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain. The sentence begins on the tip of the tongue. How about you, Wally? How do you warm up before the show?
Which show?
This show.
This is a show?
Oh my God, why do I even bother with you? But this is not an idle threat. The Trump regime has already arrested or indicted a sitting member of Congress, a judge, a mayor, a prominent union leader, and now Trump's threatening to crack down on anyone who disrupts his special military birthday parade.
Trump now preparing for his military parade in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. And tonight, the president's new warning here for anyone protesting the parade.
The parade, which is billed as a celebration of the Army's 250th anniversary, also falls on Trump's 79th birthday.
We're going to be celebrating big on Saturday. We're going to have a lot of, and if there's any protester that wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but, you know, this is people that hate our country, but they will be met with very heavy force.
Wow, the guy really knows how to sell a parade. Sounds like a fun time. Can you imagine Al Roker talking that way about the Macy's Thanksgiving parade? It's going to be a spectacular day of music, dancing, and the most colorful floats ever. And if any of you mouth breathers even look cross-eyed at the Sonic balloon, you will regret the day you were born. Now, there are two reasons this parade for the Army is so important to Trump. One, tanks rolling down the street is exactly the kind of strongman theater he loves. And two, it's also his birthday. This is the perfect encapsulation of how Trump can be both terrifying and ridiculous at the same time. On one hand, he's all, we must project strength to let the opposition know they'll be crushed. And on the other, he's like, should we get 2 cakes? we're gonna have enough cake, because it's the Army and it's also mine, and we should have enough cake. Yesterday, Newsom hit back at Trump in a televised address.
Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project. 3 co-equal branches of independent government. There are no longer any checks and balances. Congress is nowhere to be found. Speaker Johnson has completely abdicated that responsibility. The rule of law has increasingly been given way to the rule of Don. The founding fathers, they didn't live and die to see this kind of moment.
I'm no history expert, but that seems like a fair assessment to me. If the founding fathers saw masked agents abducting people off the streets and a president sending federal troops to an American city, their wooden teeth would have fallen out of their heads and they would have their burlap pants. I want to make clear, I'm aware pants were not made from burlap in the 1700s, or as far as I can tell ever. They were more commonly made from like linen, silk, or various types of wool, but burlap is a funnier word, and we're not going to stop using it just because those ass wouldn't make pants out of it. Just be happy that I say pants instead of pantaloons, because you know I want to say pantaloons. Now, if you're the type of person who's giddily cracking your knuckles about to leave a YouTube comment correcting my pant facts, now is not the time. Democracy is under assault. I don't need you going online writing history buff here. I'm disappointed in Seth, because when it comes to fact-checking...
He's done such a bad job.
And as for Congress, Newsom is right. Republicans aren't just silent. They're actively collaborating with the president in his bid to turn America into a military-style autocracy.
Do you believe that Newsom should face consequences in a legal way?
That's not my lane. I'm not going to give you legal analysis on whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested, but he ought to be tarred and feathered, I'll say that.
Why do these guys talk like the college dean threatening to kick out a rowdy fraternity? Gentlemen, you've been suspended from this school for your immature behavior, and if I had my way, you would be tarred and feathered. And I'm sorry, Mike Johnson, but if this were the 1700s, you would not have been a revolutionary. You would have been snitching out the Tea Party to the first redcoat you could find. Excuse me, sirs, you might want to make your way to the harbor. They are not Native Americans, and they do not have a permit. This grotesque abuse of power is especially galling, given that Republicans have spent years claiming Democrats are the ones who are shredding the Constitution.
I feel very strongly about our Constitution. I'm proud of it. I love it. And I want to go through the Constitution. And that's what we want to do. I mean, we want to bring the Constitution back.
I think we need to return to constitutional government. I think they shredded the Constitution.
This is like the whims of a dictatorship, where the elite leaders decide what parts of laws they like, what parts of laws they don't like, what they themselves will be subjected to.
They believe in principles of big government. They believe in this relentless assault on our constitutional rights.
Is it time the president just torch the Constitution?
Oh my God, set a tiny piece of paper like that on fire in LA and you will be surrounded by Marines. And when they show it on Fox News, they're gonna cut in super close to make it look like the whole city is in flames. So, what about now? Where are the Constitution lovers getting their authority to send thousands of troops into an American city against the wishes of the mayor and the governor?
What is the authority that the administration is using to deploy active duty Marines to California neighborhoods? What authority?
Senator, the president has constitutional authority in order to support.
Cite the provision of the Constitution.
I'd have to pull up the specific provision.
It's like watching a spelling bee where the contestant has never heard the word he's being asked to spell or any other words or any letters. He's making a face like the question was a combination of German and Japanese. This is all about spectacle and power and nothing else, and you can see that from how poorly planned this deployment was.
There were 2,000 National Guard that were, quote unquote, deployed, of which only 315 actually were mission assigned. 1,700 have no particular role or responsibility.
The San Francisco Chronicle took and published these jaw-dropping photos.
They reported about National Guard troops the Trump administration deployed over the weekend and how, quote, wildly underprepared they were. Exclusive photos published by the paper shows federalized California state troops sleeping on a concrete floor.
Look, I've slept on a floor before, not because I was deployed somewhere, but because I drank too much with Kevin Hart. So, yeah, I guess in my own way, I am a hero too. This is all happening because the Trump regime, led by Stephen Miller, wants to rip families apart and expand their immigration dragnet so nowhere is safe, from Home Depots to 7-Elevens to courthouses to schools. And polls show that is massively unpopular. So now he's escalating. So we focus on the spectacle instead of the fact that most people think he's
done such a bad job.
This has been a closer look.
It's a fight-off!